Hello and welcome. I am the Suit&Tie Dip&ChewGuy, and this is the 15th video of the standalone playlist. This is a playlist of products that sort of stand out from basically everything else for one reason or another, and or I have a hard time adding them to other playlists for one reason or another. This review is completely thanks to Ace Deuce 86, formerly known as Aaron's Reviews and More. So, sir, I thank you. And for this one, we will be taking a look at Skoal's Crisp Blend. Why is this a standalone product? Well, it's a little bit odd, actually. Now, I have a feeling that at some point towards the beginning of this channel, a Canadian had told me about this. And Skoal Crisp Blend at the time, 5 years ago, was a little bit too fresh in my mind still. That all said, I had forgotten about it. This had been Skoal Crisp Blend, an American product. But the last time I saw it, it's been discontinued. But to give you an idea how long it's been discontinued, the last time I saw it, it was sharing rack space in stores with, let's say, products like Skoal Ready Cut. So it has been out of production in the United States for about a decade. However, it survives in Canada somehow. So Ace Deuce 86 was like, we still have that. I'm like, okay. And he's like, I'll get you some. I'm like, okay. So I had to ask because it was another product alongside this. It was called Rich Blend. That, for whatever reason, they did not see fit for carrying on. This evidently was able to carry on in Canada because of the vague name, getting past any flavor bans and whatnot. So originally, the U.S. product, there was Crisp Blend and Rich Blend. Rich Blend, the one that is no longer available anywhere, was a mix of Skoal Berry and Skoal Cherry. Crisp Blend was a mix of Skoal Citrus and Skoal Apple. Now, I am not a fan, as you know, of Skoal Citrus, and I'm sort of neutral on Skoal Apple. However, at the time, a decade ago, I actually did like the Crisp Blend. So we're going to take this over the desk right now, take a closer look at the packaging. I'm going to try to save the Canadian tax stamp, which may add a few seconds to me opening the product. We'll take a look at the nondescript 1984 packaging, reference as 1984, the movie and book, and then we'll take a look at the product inside. I will be back in a moment. Okay, and here we are. So, you have the nondescript packaging, which Canada has taken on. The other thing that stands out here is that the warning is at the top. And then you have this down at the bottom. The manufacturer information is going around right there. Oddly, it does have a raised boxed rim, like U.S. Smokeless Tobacco Company products. But that is a plastic lid, I believe. Although, you know what? I am not sure now because it may not be, actually. I thought it was, but I'm seeing some scratching there on the edges. We'll check it out when we get the can open. Going around to the side, you have barcode and the flavor. You have the really cool tobacco tax stamps that Canada still rolls with. And then you have this. Now, everything obviously is in two languages, English and French because of some lunatics that live in Quebec. Toxic. Now, I'm not quite sure about this one right here, but let me address this lead thing, all right? That is such a 0.0003 milligrams of lead. Oh my God, lead. Okay. That is such a minuscule amount. It probably couldn't be seen with the human eye without optics. And really, in my opinion, 0.0003 lead, that gets to a point where, let me ask you a question. Did you come in contact with the ground outside today? Like, it's just silly. And then we're back around. Now, on the back here, that may be the production date there, which would be March of 24. If we applied the American Snuff Company 5 months out, we're still in. So that's all fine. This, I have no idea what this is down here. You will notice that the can is not guaranteed fresh stamped. And it is sort of a offish, I don't know what that is really. It's almost like coyote, to tell you the truth. With that, we are going to get the X-Acto knife out here, which is on its last legs blade-wise. I had said in a previous video that there was some tobacco on it. I used a damp rag to get that tobacco off, and then it proceeded to rust on me. And now that I'm looking at it closer, there may still be tobacco on it. But anyway, we'll be switching that out soon. And let's see if I can get this guy off. I've done this before with products that have come from Dirty Pat Walsh. Except for the Sego. I can't even remember if that had a tax stamp, to tell you the truth. They're sort of cool, and you don't really see tax stamps anymore. Not like this, not a piece of paper proper. And we will file that off to the side. Okay, and with that, we will open this up. Wow, that is a rubbery band on that. Now, that is absolute opposite of what U.S. smokeless bands are like stateside. Holy cow. Okay, well, a little better on this side for whatever reason. Wow, this thing is like, holy crap. I shouldn't have put that X-Acto knife away. Ugh. All right, that was probably as painful to watch as it was to actually do it. So the lid is metal. It is a metal lid. And you know what? I would have not guessed that had I not seen these nicks right at the end of the open there. So that's that. Now, as far as the product in there, I am going to fully expect to be seeing a lot of inconsistency. And that has been my experience with all the U.S. Smokeless Tobacco Company products made for Canada. And there's one right, if I can get it out right here. You see this freaking chunk of whatever? There's another one. But all in all, this one is actually not looking too bad. I've seen worse. The Skoal Dark, which may also be on this playlist, was pretty chunky in spots. I'm not smelling anything from this where I have it from my nose right now. We'll take it back up top for that. The product actually looks pretty darn good. Moisture level seems to be... Yeah, moisture level's good. I don't think it's going to actually be... Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, you know what? That's a lot better right there than most of the Skoal products stateside. So let's take it back up top to see what I think. It smells like I remember. Okay. I wasn't sure if I would remember. Like, it's been a long time. This later part, or being later in my dipping career, I may not care for this personally anymore, but it does smell. It smells basically like Skoal apple and Skoal citrus sort of melded. Depending on the sniff you take off it, it could change. You may be like, oh, that seems Skoal citrus with something, and the next time you do it, you know what? That's striking me as Skoal apple with something added to it. You know, it's not going to be. Gosh darn it, it is as I remember it. Alright. Alright, Canada. Not something I would gravitate towards myself now. That said, it is interesting. The apple sort of neutralizes anything I dislike about the citrus. There is actually... There is a little mouthfeel on the tongue with the juice. Nicotine will be there. It's not going to be terribly high. That said, just because it is a Canadian product, I don't think it's going to be lower than Skoal you would find here in general. Which is, again, not terribly high, but will get you by. Product seems quality in the can. It would seem that although there are some inconsistencies with the cut, it seems to me, mind you, it's been like 4 years or so, that there's not as many as there used to be. A lot of flavor, which I sort of expected. It's not spitting real dark. Didn't expect it to be. The flavor is crisp. I mean, it is a sort of a sharp, crisp edge to the flavor. Look, if you absolutely freaking hate both of them, Skoal citrus and Skoal apple, then this would not be yours. The price is another thing. It's Canada. Ace Deuce 86 paid a ridiculous amount for this. I sent him product back north, but I'm sure I probably did not match in retrospect. All in all, very interesting that this somehow survived in Canada. In Canada, of all places. Very interesting to me to experience it again, because this is not something I would have ever even guessed at. Again, you know, look, the non-frills packaging that they've imposed on companies in Canada, It could be worse. You know, I mean, if you've seen what they've done with cigarette packaging in some countries with the absolute obscene pictures that they're plastering all over it, you know, this isn't really that bad. Packaging, it's good otherwise. I mean, it's not the normal U.S. smokeless cans, but if you notice, U.S. Smokeless Tobacco Company has slightly changed. It's National Smokeless Tobacco Company Limited. Metal lid, plastic can. Can is of quality. That banding was a little crazy, but at least the can was good, so it didn't start bending in while I was really pressing down there with my thumb. All in all, I'm glad he sent this to me, and I'm glad I got to try this again. If for some reason you're trapped in Canada and can't get out, and you're within, you know, you're outside of driving distance to the U.S. border, and you have, I don't know, $50 to spare on 34 grams of smokeless tobacco, you may want to give this a try just for old time's sake. That said, at that price, this is not something I'm going to be like, hey, listen, if you live within 200 miles of the Canadian border, you better get up there and get you some. Like, you know, it's like one of those, I have a hard time putting it across, like, you need to try this. All in all, though, for me, here, right now, pleasant experience, and I am really, really glad that he sent it down. There's a little zing in the juice when you move it over your tongue. You're not feeling it on your gum line. There's no like cooling or burning sensation or anything like that, but it's a little zingy on the back side of my tongue here, which I'm a little surprised about. That could be the flavoring. Anyway, I want to thank again Ace Deuce 86. He does have a channel if you want to check it out. This has been my review of Skoal Crisp Blend. Surviving in Canada. Oh, Canada. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not actually going to sing the national anthem. Anyway, I do hope you all are well. As always, do take care of yourselves, and God bless.